In the aftermath of heightened regional tension, the dramatic incident at the Jordan-Israel border has brought new fears of escalation to the forefront. The event in question is being described as the first Arab-led assault on Israel following the controversial strike in Qatar. And the timing, symbolism, and execution of this raid have left analysts speculating about its broader implications. To break it down, let's look at what actually happened, the design of the attack itself, and what it could mean for the fragile balance of power in the Middle East. Reports indicate that armed men launched a surprise raid on Israeli border patrol units near the Jordanian frontier. This wasn't just a skirmish involving stray gunfire. It was a well-planned operation designed to inflict maximum casualties and psychological impact. Several Israeli personnel were killed, and the method of the assault suggests it was both coordinated and deliberate. This alone marks it as different from isolated clashes, as the execution points to a broader network or backing from groups with resources and strategic intent. In terms of performance aspects, the attackers demonstrated precision and timing. They reportedly used the cover of night, exploiting gaps in border security systems and possibly relying on insider knowledge of patrol routes. The raid was swift, minimizing the chance of counterattack before retreating into safe zones across the border. This shows a level of tactical discipline that goes beyond opportunistic violence and instead mirrors the hallmarks of guerrilla warfare: hit fast, inflict damage, and withdraw before superior firepower can be brought in. Design elements of the attack also deserve attention. The choice of location, the Jordan border, is symbolic and practical. Unlike Gaza or Lebanon, Jordan has historically maintained a peace treaty and security cooperation with Israel. A strike here not only breaks the expected calm, but also raises questions about whether the attackers were acting independently or as part of a larger, coordinated effort to destabilize Israel on multiple fronts. Strategically, targeting a quieter border shifts Israeli attention away from Gaza and Lebanon, forcing a diversion of resources. Another element worth highlighting is the psychological impact. By launching what is perceived as the first Arab attack following the Qatar strike, the perpetrators are sending a layered message. First, it signals retaliation for actions in Qatar, showing that repercussions will not remain confined to one region. Second, it conveys to Israel and the world that no border is safe, not even those considered relatively secure. Third, it potentially aims to rally wider Arab sentiment, testing whether this incident could ignite broader sympathy or support across neighboring states. From Israel's perspective, the unique selling point of this incident, if we can call it that, is its exposure of vulnerabilities. Israel prides itself on high-tech surveillance, layered defense systems, and well-trained border patrols. For attackers to pierce that shield in such a high-profile manner raises uncomfortable questions about preparedness and blind spots. It also exposes the challenge of facing asymmetric threats where even small, mobile units can cause outsized damage despite Israel's technological superiority. The regional implications are equally critical. Analysts are debating whether this was a standalone incident or part of an orchestrated escalation by factions emboldened by the Qatar strike fallout. If it's the latter, then this could mark the opening of a new phase of conflict where Israel faces pressure not just from Gaza and Lebanon, but potentially from multiple Arab borders simultaneously. That prospect, if it materializes, would force Israel to reconsider its defensive posture and spread its military thinner than intended. On the diplomatic front, the attack puts Jordan in a precarious position. Officially, Amman has maintained peaceful relations with Israel for decades, but this incident occurring on its border could strain that balance. If attackers were operating from Jordanian soil, intentionally or not, Israel may demand action or accountability. Jordan's response will be closely watched, as it walks the fine line between maintaining peace with Israel and managing internal pressures that lean toward solidarity with Palestinians and broader Arab causes. There's also the technological and tactical angle of the raid. Early assessments suggest that the attackers may have relied on small arms, light explosives, and mobility rather than heavy weaponry. This indicates a deliberate attempt to avoid large-scale escalation, while still creating a dramatic impact. It also highlights the adaptability of such groups. Instead of challenging Israel's tanks, drones, and air power directly, they exploited human vulnerabilities in patrols and checkpoints. In military terms, that's a classic example of asymmetric warfare, turning weakness into strength by targeting soft spots instead of hardened positions. For Israel, the incident underscores the importance of intelligence and anticipation. If this was indeed the first in a wave of retaliations tied to Qatar, then the country must prepare for similar surprise raids elsewhere. The deterrence model where overwhelming retaliation discourages attacks may not be enough against actors who are motivated more by symbolism and psychological impact than by traditional military calculus. Internationally, this event adds a new layer to already complex geopolitics. The U.S., which has strong ties to both Israel and Jordan, will likely pressure Amman to contain and investigate the incident, while backing Israel's right to defend itself. Meanwhile, Regional actors opposed to Israel may see this as a sign that new opportunities are opening to challenge its security narrative. Whether this raid remains an isolated incident or becomes a catalyst for further escalation will depend on the responses over the coming days and weeks. Ultimately, the Jordan border raid is a reminder that the Middle East remains unpredictable, where one strike or retaliation can ripple far beyond the immediate battlefield. It blends symbolism, strategy, and surprise in ways that make it both tactically significant and politically explosive. For Israel, it is a wake-up call that even borders considered stable can become flashpoints overnight. For the region, it is yet another indicator that the cycle of strike and counterstrike is far from over.